ましょう。南無阿弥陀仏。
南無阿弥陀仏。
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 ナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダ。三部城。Juseige。 が石無浄土志願不満足政府上昇学がお無良好不意大世襲不採処貧具政府上昇学が至上仏の妙正長寺法空教二書の政府上昇が利欲人少年上映修凡行死具無浄土一生天人死人力縁内向不祥無才道少女三苦妙交際集約難回避知恵言滅死根門永息小悪道通達全修門高僧上満足異様老寺法日月修十期天候論普賢一種解放像公正功徳法上大修十説法四子苦供養一切部具足修徳法元年信条な徳意三害用妙仏無下知通達未不詳願学営利投資最小損志願若国家大仙の感動国書天に東鎮妙受けナマンナブナマンナ 上あんなこ ナモ阿弥陀仏。
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 ナンマンダーナンマンダーナンマンダーナンマンダーナンマンダー Three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human form. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from the suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of the way to enlightenment and become aware of his supreme teaching. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depths of his doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in the life of harmony, in the spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of the selfishness. Even through ages of millions of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
It's Buddhist science with Katie.
Hey Dharma friends, today we're going to do Sensei Science. We're going to find Buddha's light in everyday objects. If you'd like to follow along with this experiment, we're going to go through what's in it and ask your parents at home or your significant other if you're an adult. All right, let's take a look at what it takes to do Buddha's light experiment. You're going to need 5 cups. These are plastic cups, but glass cups will work okay too. You're going to need 5 pieces of aluminum foil, 5 pieces of copper wire, 7 alligator clips, a light emitting diode, or LED light, lukewarm water, a large amount of table salt, preferably non-iodized if you have it, but either will work fine, and regular distilled white vinegar, or acetic acid. All right, let's start the experiment. So the first thing we're going to do is pour table salt. Here I have about 60 grams into the lukewarm water. We want to have the water reach a saturation point, or when there's more salt sitting on the bottom than was willing to dissolve into the water. So I'm going to use a ladle to mix it up and kind of just get it all nice and dissolved in there. About 10 seconds of stirring will do it. All right. Now what we're going to do is take the vinegar and go ahead and just pour a really big splash in there. Doesn't have to be exact. Perfect. And we're going to divide out our 5 cups. So kind of have them sitting pretty close to each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So go ahead and fill these up about 3/4 of the way. It should smell like salty vinegar water. All right, now that we have our 5 cups put together, we're going to take a piece of copper and a piece of aluminum foil and put one in each. Put it on either side of the cup. So one on, you can put all your foil on the left side like I'm going to do. Kind of just bend it over the top there. And then do the same with the copper. You don't want the copper and the foil to touch. All right. And basically what we're creating here is a saltwater vinegar weak battery that's going to create enough voltage to light up the LED. So then take your alligator clips and you're going to have one that's a lead that goes out of the battery. So go ahead and clip one just to the foil and one just to the copper. And leave these ones to the side. And then what you're going to do is go through and clip in sequence from the copper to the foil, going all the way down our battery. Okay, so our battery is complete. Let's see how much charge it's creating. So what I've got here is called a multimeter. And with this multimeter, I'm going to be able to read how much voltage this battery puts out. So I'm going to go ahead and put it over here to 10 volts direct current. And we're going to see. So we'll connect one to the positive. And one to the negative lead. Or actually, we're going to reverse these. Even Sensei Science backs things up. There we go. So we are producing right around 2.5 volts of energy just from salt, vinegar, water, aluminum foil, and copper. So do you think we can find Buddha's light just from these simple household products? Well, let's take a look. We're going to go ahead and connect one side of the light emitting diode to one side of the battery and one side to the other. And when we turn the lights in the room off, as you can see, the LED has lit up. How cool. All right. So what this experiment goes to show is no matter where you look, and no matter what things it is, you can find Buddha's light. Buddha is in it. So everyone join me in Gassho and contemplate that everywhere you look, you can find Amida Buddha's teachings and the Nembutsu. So feel free to say the Nembutsu anywhere, because it's in there. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. And for those of you who are interested in how this experiment worked, we're going to take a quick look at the chemical formula. So this battery functions by a dissociation reaction of aluminum. The aluminum goes into solution in the water, and it's conducted by the copper. The dissociation happens more readily in a low pH environment. Thusly, the utilization of vinegar, a weak acetic acid, helps the aluminum dissociate. Aluminum combines itself then with hydrogen atoms in the form of water, or 3 water atoms, 3 H2O, for each aluminum atom, and creates aluminum hydroxide, AlOH2, plus 3/2 hydrogen ions. These hydrogen ions then produce an electrical charge. If we were using 4 cups, the electrical charge would be right around 1.9 volts, but since we're using 5 cups in this case, the electrical charge is right around 2.3 volts. Thank you for joining us today on Sensei Science, and we hope to see you here at Temple next time.
All right, please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us once again for the Sunday service of the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. Today, I would like to start off with a passage from a book by Kurt Vonnegut, one of my very favorite authors, author of my favorite book of all time, Breakfast of Champions. But this particular passage is from his book, The Slaughterhouse-Five. Listen. Billy Pilgrim has come unstuck in time. Billy has gone to sleep a senile widower and awakened on his wedding day. He's walked through a door in 1955 and come out another one in 1941. He's gone back through that door to find himself in 1963. He has seen his birth and death many times, he says, and pays random visits to all the events in between, he says. Billy is spastic in time and has no control over where he is going next, and the trips aren't necessarily fun. He is in a constant state of stage fright, he says, because he never knows what part of his life he's going to have to act in next. Now, this particular book, for those who haven't read it, is obviously about time travel in some sense. In the book, Billy Pilgrim is indeed spastic in time. He encountered some aliens along the way in his lifetime, and as a result, is now bumping back and forth between all of the times in his life. So he is, as it says in this passage, revisiting things like his wedding day. He is revisiting his birth and also his death. And that stage fright that he feels is because he's never sure which moment he's going to arrive in. And I picked this particular passage today because today I turned 40. Now, in the last 2 weeks or so, and it may be conscious or unconscious, I seem to have myself gotten unstuck in time. I have found myself talking to both my daughter and my boyfriend, and of course, we're all stuck at home together, so you run out of topics of conversation, and recently it has become sort of reminiscing about different things in our lives. Now, my boyfriend and I are, well, I'm 40, he's close to 40, so we have several years of reminiscences, and my daughter, being only 15, obviously has fewer than 40 years of reminiscences, but going back through all of these memories does seem to put me unstuck in time. Now, we haven't been doing it for any specific reason other than things will remind us of times when we were younger or remind us even of things that happened 2 weeks ago. And as we've been doing this, again, consciously or unconsciously, it has kind of been a way for us to almost get to know each other better, because as we have these memories, I realize that we are unpacking a lot of things. Each time we bring something up, it can take, I know for me, take me back specifically to a point in time that may be very lovely and I enjoyed a lot, or as it says in this passage, may not be the most fun. May be things that I hadn't thought of for a reason in a long time, and things that maybe I don't necessarily want to talk about or remember, but doing so, having this discussion of all these points of my life, and I know for my daughter too, has been kind of helpful. It's been almost a purge, because if I visit some point in my life, pleasant or unpleasant, I began to realize that all of the time that I have experienced is part of who I am at this moment. That even though we like to see time as a very linear thing, ultimately, as Buddhists and as human beings too, we should see time as existing all at once. That past, present, and future are here with us at this very moment all the time. So even though we like to say, well, this thing happened in the past, it did happen in the past, but we have carried it into our future. So when we look at past events, we can see that the thing that happened then is part of who I am now, and how I feel about whatever thing happened and how I carry it and how I react to it is how I'm going to take it into the future. And some things you revisit and they're not quite so helpful. Some things you revisit and find that they are very helpful, and we can take or leave them as we wish. But the fact is, past events have happened and have an effect on the here and now. And again, how we take them and how we decide whether or not to carry these things into the future is how that helps to shape us. So it hasn't been a super melancholy. I haven't been super upset about being 40. It's another number that is kind of meaningless at this point. And many of the reminiscences have been very, very nice. And they've ranged from me waking up, standing in my kitchen in 2020, and walking out the door to my backyard where my boyfriend is listening to an Alice in Chains album, and I stepped through the door and entered 1996. And these are the fun times that we've been having. But sometimes we talk about old relationships or things that made us sad or angry in the past, and those are not so fun, stepping from one's living room in 2020 where things are sunny and fine, and then stepping back into 1993 when when I was in junior high, and nobody liked junior high. So that's a nasty door to step through regardless. But the important thing to remember is that all of those times are part of you at this moment. And we can see as we look through these things that that is part of who we are as human beings. That we take all of these pieces and sometimes we try to ignore what has happened in the past. Sometimes we try to erase it, but sometimes when we sort of begin to unpack all the time that is contained within us, we do see our own human selves. That whether you did something silly, whether you did something you regret, whether you wished something else had happened, all of it is part of yourself at this moment and the self that you will be in the future. And we can do nothing about what has happened, of course. It's in the past and we carry it the way we carry it. But in looking at all these times of ourselves, we can remember our own humanity. That no matter what has happened, we exist just as we are at this moment. And when we are here at the temple or even at your home Obutsudan, you can begin to recall that you are just as you are, and that is exactly how the Buddha accepts us. That he is a timeless Buddha carrying the timelessness of great wisdom, compassion. And the vows that he made were specifically made to carry throughout time, immeasurable time, because the Buddhas understand that we are small human beings that struggle with things that often we have no control over, things like remembering and regretting our past or letting our past weigh us down so that it's harder to move into the future. And because of that, this vow was made so that we can remember that we are small human beings, but nonetheless are wrapped in the great light and wisdom of the Buddha. And so when we come together and we say Namo Amida Butsu, we are taking refuge in this timeless Buddha, the timeless teachings of the Buddha, and remembering that the light of wisdom that's shining upon us is our ultimate shelter. That we are there being called to, asking us to return to our own human selves. And we say Namo Amida Butsu in great gratitude for knowing our own true selves and knowing that our own true selves are being sheltered always, no matter what time we find ourselves stuck in. So thank you all for coming this morning. Please join me in Gashon. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Naman.
Shotsuki-Hoyo